coming up on Marriage Today with Jimmy and Karen.
But you meet a person, they're so different, or you married a person, and after marrying them, you find out how different they are, worse than you thought before, because they faked it really good. And you wake up and say, that's not my soulmate, because my soulmate's just like me. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're very different.
We start seeing these differences, and that's what makes us think that it's wrong. But it's actually the very thing that God uses to not only bring out the best in your spouse, but it's what helps us to mature and to get better in our life and in the life that we live.
So this message is called Becoming One's Soul. Talk about being soulmates with your spouse. Another title for this message could be Becoming Soulmates. And I think it's important. I think that there's a lot of misinformation in our world today about becoming soulmates, and this is a perfect message for every single person or divorced person, you're not married, but also for every married person, because it is important that we're soulmates, but there's so much misinformation that can actually set us up for failure. And I want to talk to you about how you can become soulmates and have the marriage of your dreams. And I want to begin by saying Karen Evans is my soulmate. We've been married for 40 years. But a week before we got married, my friends threw me a bachelor party, and I was unfaithful. I cheated on Karen. Again, that's just who I was. And Karen told me she wouldn't marry me a week before we got married because of how wild and immoral I was. And I didn't blame her. But the morning after my bachelor party is when I received Christ. And I didn't receive Christ because of Karen. I didn't receive Christ because Karen wouldn't marry me. I received Christ because sin lied to me. I was a very good sinner. I was an extremely good sinner. I woke up every day with a desire to sin, and every day I went to bed very successful. And, but empty. And I had all these things I wanted to do. I didn't have anything that I wanted to do that I didn't do, sin. But I went to bed empty, and I would lay in bed empty after parties and fraternity parties and all this, stuff that I did, and I would think, why am I not happy? I feel lonely, and I feel empty. And so the night of my bachelor party was another example. All my friends were there. We did everything that you would think would make you happy, all the things the world says would make you happy, and I went to bed empty, and I woke up and I looked at myself in the mirror, and for the first time I felt bad. I had no conscience. I never felt bad about anything I did. I felt good about it. And I woke up that day and I felt bad, and Karen said she wouldn't marry me. I told her what I'd done, and I said, Jesus, I'll serve you for the rest of my life, and I'll never turn back. And I've served him all of my adult life, and I've never turned back. And the instant I invited Jesus into my life, that empty place filled up. And I became happy. And when I laid in bed at night, I didn't feel alone anymore. Something had changed, and Jesus told me the truth. And Jesus was the reality in my life that I had been looking for. So Karen told me she wouldn't marry me, but after a couple of days, I lost all my friends that day. And Karen began to hear about, the fact that I had changed and lost my friends. And so we began to talk, and we decided to go ahead and get married. In our wedding, we got married. We had a destination wedding at Karen's parents' house. We got married in her parents' living room. It was a very small wedding. Very awkward wedding. Her parents hated me, and I hated her parents. And I'd only been a Christian for a week. I didn't know it was wrong to hate, so I still hated them. And Karen's mother had a Bible study praying that we wouldn't get married, okay? And those were the women doing our wedding. Now this is our wedding picture, okay? Just look at this picture. This is God love us. God, isn't Karen beautiful? And I haven't changed a bit. Okay. We had the most awkward wedding ever. And then we just didn't have a good time on our honeymoon. I can just tell you right now, it was, because I'd been bad the week before, and that was still we tried, to have fun, and we tried to act like nothing had happened, but it had, and so our honeymoon wasn't that great. We came home early from our honeymoon. We went to Colorado Springs and came home early, and so then our lives together started, and, I was a new believer, and we were trying, but I was a jerk and a chauvinist, and And, you know, we went to church on Sunday, and I read my Bible every morning, but I was a terrible husband. I worked all the time. I played golf all the time. I didn't meet any of Karen's needs. And after several years of marriage, you know, we were just on the brink of divorce. And Karen confronted me one time about playing golf, and I told her to get out of the house. I was tired of her complaining because that was just who I was. And she was in the bedroom crying. I was sitting in the living room thinking, I'm going to lose my marriage. I don't know what to do. And I'm going to pick up here in just a minute, but let me just say I married my soulmate. And I know that my story kind of pops a lot of bubbles because there are a lot of myths out there about soulmates and who your soulmate is and how you find your soulmate. And our story just doesn't fit with that mold. But I want to say I married my soulmate, and Karen and I have been married 40 years, and she's the love of my life. She's my best friend, and she's my soulmate. I want to tell you 3 myths, dangerous soulmate myths, that need to be exposed because these set us up for failure and they set us up for wrong expectations. Myth number 1 is my soulmate will be just like me. This is the first myth. If I find my soulmate, they're going to be just like me. In fact, if I really find my perfect soulmate, we really won't have to talk because we're just going to be able to sit and look at each other and know what each other's thinking. We're just going to sit in the house all day just giggling. That's so funny. And we're just always want to do the same thing, you know, and you know what? Yeah, I know what. Let's go do that, okay. And you're always just right there. That's what your soulmate is, right? And see, and I think online dating is fine. I know a lot of people have very good success stories with online dating, but the dangerous thing about this online dating is when you go on there and you match in all the categories, even if you match in all the categories, you're very different people. Listen, compatibility is based on character and values, not sameness. You're not the same. If you find your perfect soulmate, they're very, very different than you are. You need to be a Christian. You need to have basic compatibility with character and values. But you meet a person, they're so different, or you married a person, and after marrying them, you find out how different they are, worse than you thought before, because they faked it really good. And you wake up and say, that's not my soulmate, because my soulmate's just like me. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're very different. Number 2 myth about soulmate is if I marry my soulmate, we won't have any big problems and we'll always be in love. And this has set you up for huge disappointment. But the point is, if you marry your perfect soulmate, you're going to have issues that you're going to have to work through. You know, if you prepare properly and if you marry a believer and things like that, it minimizes those things, but you're still going to have big issues that you work through. But let me say this, it's important to the devil that you believe this. Because if you believe that if you marry your soulmate, your feelings will always be positive and you'll never have any big problems, then when you wake up one day and your feelings are negative or you don't have any feelings and you're going through problems, that's when the devil whispers into your ear, you married the wrong person. I remember the nanosecond when Karen and I were fighting, and we were at that point of fighting all the time and on the brink of divorce, and we had a huge fight, and she walked off, when she walked off, I remember where I was standing in our house when I thought the thought, she's not the one for me. What a tormenting thought to go through you that I'm stuck for the rest of my life with this person that I'm not compatible with and they're not my soulmate. Because my concept was, at that point, when you marry the right person, everything happens right. You don't have to work at it, okay? But that's just simply not true. Soulmates are not born, they're made in the trenches of life. And the greatest marriages are not marriages where 2 people were born with a silver spoon in their mouth and everything went right. The greatest marriages are where 2 committed believers come together, roll up their sleeves, fight the good fight, and you wake up one day and said, you could have left me 13 times, but you didn't. And you're my soulmate. Another myth about being soulmates is my soulmate will always make me happy and meet all of my needs. No person can always make me happy. The basis of happiness is God. Only God can meet our deepest needs, and only God can truly give us a foundation of happiness. Let me say, if you have a relationship with God, you can be happy when people are all acting weird. Amen. But when you come to an individual and you put the responsibility on a person to make you happy, you've set that person up for failure and yourself up for failure. No person can make me happy all the time. Karen makes me happy a lot. Sometimes she doesn't make me happy, you know, when she turns the Cowboy game off. You know, when she don't want me to watch the Rangers, something like that, you know. But Karen makes me happy, but the basis of my happiness is not Karen Evans. The basis of my happiness is Jesus Christ. Here are the three choices that create soulmates. Number one, choice that I make is empathy. And research has proved, the most recent research on marriage has proved, this is one of the main things that makes good marriages is empathy. The word empathy means understanding and entering into another person's feelings. When we're dating, we're extremely empathetic. I remember being so careful in every word that I spoke because I wanted everything I said to make her feel good and make her like me. That's called empathy. I'm being very careful how I'm making you feel. I'm being very careful, and I'm being very sensitive to everything that's going on and how it could make you feel, and that's a choice. And I stopped choosing to care once I had her relationship secured, and I began to take her for granted, and I began to verbally abuse her, I began to neglect her, I began to treat her badly, and I didn't care. I didn't care. And when she complained to me about the way that I talked to her and the way I treated her, I didn't care, and that was a choice. And the day that our marriage almost broke up, God got to my heart, finally, and Karen was not the problem, I was the problem. And I woke up and I made a decision, and we were out of love. We were out of like. We had no emotions for each other. We were numb. We had fought so much. So nothing changed in my emotions. But I made the choice to be empathetic. Listen to me. You have two components to your soul, your will and your emotions. And one of the most critical decisions in your life is for your will to rule over your emotions and not let your emotions rule over your will. The Bible calls people who let their emotions rule over their will weak-willed people. 1,000,000 times in life, 1,000,000 times in your life, you're going to feel like doing something you shouldn't do. And your will has to be over your emotions, saying, you can't say that to them. You can't do that. You've got to be a responsible person. You've got to subject your feelings under a responsible will. Okay, 1,000,000 times in life, you're going to need to do something you don't feel like doing. And your will has to be in control. So your will says, emotions, you're going to care. I don't care how you're feeling. You're going to care. And I woke up that morning when Karen and I were on the brink of divorce. I woke up that morning and I made the decision to care. Isn't it great that we can do that? It's not luck. It's not fate. It's not chemistry. It's choice. And my soulmate was sitting right there, hurting. And I didn't care the day before. And that day I woke up and I decided, I'm turning my heart back to Karen. And here's the way empathy thinks. Here's the way empathy thinks. I wonder what it would be like to be married to me. And when I woke up that day and I decided to care, I thought to myself, I wouldn't want to be married to me. And sitting in a house all by myself, all day long, taking care of kids, and then to have me walk in the door and not want to talk and not want to participate in the family and not want to open my heart up and not meet any of my needs. What a terrible thing to be married to me. That's the way empathy thinks. I wonder how they feel. I wonder how my words are making them feel. I wonder how my silence is making them feel. I wonder how my absence is making them feel. I wonder how my sarcasm is making them feel. That empathy puts itself into another person's feelings and cares, and it's a choice. And the first time you do it, it's instinctive. When you're dating a person, it's instinctive. The second time you do it, it's intentional. I'm not doing it because of a feeling. I'm doing it because I choose you as my soulmate. I'm choosing you as my soulmate. And I'm choosing to care about you. Your soulmate is a person who cares. They care about you. They're a person who's tuned in. That's what we dream about, is being married to a person who cares about us, who's sensitive to us. That's a choice. It's called empathy. The second choice, and by the way, 5 minutes of empathy a day will resurrect a dead relationship. 5 minutes. You sit down 5 minutes a day and just put yourself in your spouse's place and think, I wonder how they're feeling. I wonder what they're going through. I wonder what I can do to help them today. It'll resurrect a dead relationship. Number two choice of being soulmates is the choice of generosity. It's being generous. Proverbs 11:25, the generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. The generous soul, generosity is a choice. It can have emotion with it, but it doesn't have to. I gave to Karen. When I was dating Karen, I gave her words. I gave her kindness. I gave her attention. I gave and I gave and I gave, and out of that, our relationship flourished. I began to talk to her, sit down. We sat down face to face, and I said, I'll sit here and talk to you until you're satisfied. I'll talk as long as you want to talk. I thought, A, she's going to suck my brain out. And B, I've got to be the greatest man in the history of the world to do this. But let me tell you, it was the most life-giving thing to me, not just to her. But I gave her affection, I gave her communication, I gave her attention. I hung up my golf clubs. I said, I'm not playing golf anymore. And I play golf today. Karen said to me one day after our marriage was healed, she said, go play golf. And I said, excuse me, I think I just heard Jesus. But generosity, one of the most important things it's a choice. But my soulmate is a person who is a giver. And my soulmate is a person that I invest in. And so, you want to be married to a person who's generous with you, and that's what soulmates mean. But it begins with me. Listen, I'm not going to stand back and demand something from Karen I'm not willing to do. And by the way, you don't just reap what you sow, you reap where you sow. You can sow in everybody else all day long, but if you're not sowing into your marriage, you're not going to reap from your marriage. And by the way, when you sow your soul, you reap a soul, and that's how you become soulmates. When you give your soul to your spouse, you'll reap their soul, and that's how you bond and become one. One more thing, the third choice is the choice of priority, and that is making your marriage first. Marriage only works in first place. It won't work in any other place. It's got to be before your children, before your work, before church, before anything else except your personal relationship with Jesus Christ. In my relationship, I put Karen first, and we do this. When we're dating, when we're pursuing each other, we put each other first, and then the demands of life, the busyness of life, whatever comes up, we just begin to, in real terms. See, I told Karen that she was first, but she wasn't. Work and golf and friends and everything else were first. But when I hung my golf clubs up and I said no to other things, it proved to Karen in real terms that she was first. Your soulmate is someone who puts you first. Your soulmate is someone who gives to you. Your soulmate is someone who cares about you. But it begins with you. I hope you enjoyed that teaching. You know, we have an entire 5-part series called Becoming One, and what you just saw there is just a small part of this entire series. This is a new seminar that we've done along with Nancy Houston and also Caroline Leaf, Dr. Caroline Leaf, talking about becoming one soul, becoming one mind, becoming one flesh, becoming one heart. And I'm also talking about the 7 inhibitors of intimacy. And so I hope that this program today was a blessing to you. There's so much more, though, to the entire seminar and conference that we did called Becoming One that can really change your marriage. In fact, it can change your family. All around you, people all around you can be changed. I want to encourage you right now to support us financially here at Marriage Today. Be generous with us because we're a ministry and a mission. We go all across America and around the world. And right now, for your gift of any amount to support us here at Marriage Today, we want to get you the CD single, Becoming One Soul. And that's talking about being soulmates. Big deal that we need to know about. Also, right now, for your gift of $55, we want to get you the 5-part CD series, Becoming One, along with our one devotional book that will really bless you. It's a great thing to do as a couple to deepen your marriage. For your gift of $75 or more, we want to get you the DVD series, Becoming One, along with our one devotional book. These are fantastic resources that will take your marriage to the next level. We want to get these to you. Here's how you can get them. When you get married, God is joining you heart to heart, spirit to spirit. That's what's happening there.
Experience the Becoming One series on CD or DVD and receive the one devotional book as a free bonus. The CD series and book are yours for a gift of $55 or more. The DVD series and book for a gift of $75 or more. In this impactful series, Jimmy Evans and special guests Nancy Houston and Dr. Caroline Leaf reveal how couples can have one heart, one body, one mind, and one soul.
When you add God to your marriage becomes one in God.
When you support Marriage Today with a gift of any amount, we'll send you the CD single, Becoming One Soul.
Soulmates are not born, they're made in the trenches of life.
Discover the secrets to having a thriving relationship. Experience the joy of becoming one.
I want you to know you were created by love to love. You were created by one to be one. That's who you are. It's not the lucky few that succeed in marriage. All of us can succeed in marriage. Doesn't matter what your past is about. Your future is about God. And anything is possible. If what we have found is, in the good times and the bad times, God is greater than any issue that we'll ever face. You don't have a 50-50 chance. You have a 100% chance if you do it God's way.
I've been there, and I know how hopeless it feels. And in spite of us, He made something good out of it. He can do that with anybody.
That's right. This is about helping us to have a better future and helping us to build a family that will last. We hope that you're enjoying this program. You know, the teaching, Becoming One Soul, Karen, this is our Becoming One conference that we did, our newest conference. And you know, this is such an important teaching. I love bringing this teaching because there's so much misinformation about soulmates. You know, and I think it's, when you hear about soulmates today and everyone wanting to marry their soulmate, I think that's a good thing. You know, we have a soul, and you know, God wants us to be intimate in our marriage on every level. So it's not wrong that we would want to have soulmates. But I was talking that teaching about the myths of soulmates. So much of the misinformation that we have. And when we got married, and I told the story of, you know, how we met and got married and how dysfunctional it was. It was awful. You know, when we got married, you know, I hated your parents, they hated me, I hated all the women in there because they've been praying that we wouldn't get married. And, you know, when you think of marrying your soulmate, we just we didn't do anything right, but we ended up being soulmates. Yeah. Because of the Lord.
And it was a lot of hard work. That's, you know, as you well know. But, you know, I think about, like you're saying, that the society thinks that you just marry your soulmate. And I don't know where that phrase ever came from, because it just, to me, doesn't even make sense. Because you can't marry, you're not marrying a soulmate, you're marrying a person. And, you know, and that person is to be respected as somebody that's different and you're individual. And I think that that's what's so hard, is we get married and we think it's going to be just like, we're going to be alike, you know, and we're so different. You know, and then we start seeing these differences, and that's what makes us think that it's wrong. But it's actually the very thing that God uses to not only bring out the best in your spouse, but it's what helps us to mature and to get better in our life and in the life that we live.
Well, when we got married, I thought you were beautiful on the outside. I thought you were the weirdest person I ever met on the inside.
Thank you.
And I just thought you're weird. She's so weird. And I thought, I've got to change her. And so my lectures, you know, I remember lecturing you, that's not right, that's not normal. And you know, you get so frustrated. Now what I realize is you were normal. But I'm telling you right now, a lot of people divorce because they have this thing in their mind that says, my soulmate would be just like me. They wouldn't be weird like you. They would be just like me. They would want what I want. And so out there on the internet, my soulmate's waiting for me, and I'm wasting my life with you, when in fact, we are different by God's design. And being soulmates doesn't mean we're the same. It means we make the decisions. And one of the decisions, Karen, is empathy. We talked about that, is caring about our spouse, caring about each other. In other words, it's not a matter of luck. It's not a matter of fate or chance. It's a matter of choice. And you and I ended up on the brink of divorce, and we began to make certain choices. And one of the choices that I made and you made too was to care about each other.
Absolutely.
To be empathetic. Your soulmate cares about you.
And I think if you don't have that mindset, it becomes selfish. It becomes self-centered. It becomes self-destructive. And, you know, no one wants to be married to a selfish person. And so if you are in a frustrating place in your marriage, you know, consider, you know, the next day just waking up and saying, you know, I think today I'm going to choose to not worry about what I'm not getting, but what I can give.
Yeah.
And what can I give into this marriage? What can I do to look into your world to see, you know, what's it like to be you? What is it like to work 8 to 5? Or what's it like to have 5 kids, 3 kids, and all day long all you see is dirty diapers? What's it like to be you? And to have that sympathy or the empathy, like you're saying, of putting yourself into their position and then thinking, you know, what would I want you to do for me if I was you? You know, and come out of your own little world of what you want, instead make it about what you can make your spouse's world better. You know, how can I make your life better for you? And I mean, it changes everything.
It does, and I really do. You know, this is a message now that, I mean, I waited a long time to bring this message. It's a life changer, and I do want to encourage you to get the full resource that we offered today, the Becoming One Conference. This Becoming One Soul is a life-changing resource that every young person needs to hear, every married couple needs to hear. We hope that this has been a blessing to you today. We want you to watch this. I hope you're enjoying today's program. You know, in our society, marriage is under attack, and we all know that. Family is under attack. But here at Marriage Today, we believe that the power of God is greater than any other power. And we believe that the power of God's Word is more powerful than any lie or deception that can be told. And many people who are failing in marriage, they're not evil people. They just don't know any better. And we love to go into people's homes across America, around the world, with this message of hope for marriage and family. And I hope that you've been helped by this, but we can only do this because of our financial supporters. And I'm asking you right now, if you've been touched by our ministry, if you believe in the mission of what we're doing is holding families together, helping people build successful marriages and families, I'm asking you to give your most generous gift that you can. The information is there on your screen of how you can call or send your gift in the mail, or also go on our secure website and give. And you can also become a monthly partner and get a special resource only our partners receive. Here's more information on how you can do that.
When you stand with Marriage Today, your individual effort multiplies with other like-minded partners. And together, we can rebuild the dream of marriage for couples around the world. Being a rock-solid partner with Marriage Today grants you immediate access to an exclusive library of the ministry's resources and intimately connects you with our mission of helping couples succeed in marriage.
That's really why we became Rock Solid Partners, just because there was so much available to help us to help other marriages heal the way that we have.
That's why we're tied into the ministry. We want to be able to bless and give so they can keep doing what they're doing.
You're guaranteed, if you listen to any of the resources, you read the resources, you come to a conference, you will be changed.
Everyone has something to give, and there are millions of unreached couples who desperately need the marriage-strengthening resources of Marriage Today. That's why we need you to join us. Become a rock-solid partner with the ministry and mission of Marriage Today.
Thank you for joining us today. Support Marriage Today with your best gift and receive the series Becoming One. Plan now to attend an upcoming Marriage Today seminar or speaking event. Visit marriagetoday.com/events. Become a rock-solid partner today and connect with the mission of Marriage Today. Together, we can help couples succeed in marriage.
This program is made possible by the generous support of our faithful partners.